Welcome to the Week 9 edition of Giant Overreaction. I am your host, Awthentik, one half of the best television show not on TV, the best division in football, Awthentik and the Beard. As the Giants were on a bye week this week, I did not expect to have a Giant Overreaction show. I wake up this morning to some breaking news that I'm sure a lot of you all woke up to and were extremely disappointed in one of our captains on our football team, on our defense, Xavier Mckinney. Safety Xavier Mckinney suffers a broken hand in an ATV accident in Cabo during the bye week. The 23-year-old broke the news on Monday morning saying he flew out to Mexico for the Giants' off days, as he called it, but unfortunately got hurt while he was on a sightseeing ATV tour, which sounds extremely sketchy. Xavier Mckinney said, "I had an accident and injured my hand," in a note on Twitter. "The injury will keep me sidelined for a few weeks. I saw some other reports that reported that his hand is indeed broken. It's a big blow for the New York Giants, as Mckinney, who was named the team captain this season, is a key player on the Giants defense. So far this season, Xavier Mckinney has 38 total tackles, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble." All of that news is coming from TMZ, which is the first time you're ever going to hear Awthentik reporting on something that came from TMZ. Shout out to everybody in the chat one time, man. I appreciate y'all pulling up bright and early on this Monday afternoon, man, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. Like I said, I did not think we were going to have a show. As soon as I saw this news, I figured, hey, man, let's tap out, see how the fan base is feeling about it. I saw a couple of people split on this on Twitter. Didn't get a chance to really see what the national media has been talking about as this news just broke a couple of hours ago. Shout out to Bobby Skinner. I saw him, and his tweet was on the main page of TMZ. Speaking on this injury on New York Giants safety Xavier Mckinney. Let me know y'all initial thoughts in the chat. Y'all know how we do over here. We're going to post up a couple. This is going to be a very short show. I know I say that every week, but this one's going to be a really short show. If, you know, the statement that you see on the screen when I do post these statements on the screen, if you think indeed it is an overreaction, let me see an O in the chat. If you need a little bit more time to think about the statement on the screen, which I don't think that's going to be the case on a lot of these ones today, let me see a P in the chat, which means you're going to take the push. And if you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see a U in the chat, which means you're going to be taking the under. Like I said, I am your host, Awthentik. For those of y'all that are new here, man, we had some breaking news today about safety Xavier Mckinney. Gonna do my best to keep my eyes on the chat, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. We're gonna try to keep this one short and sweet, so we're gonna skip the shout outs today. But I definitely want to know y'all thoughts, man. Like I said, I'm gonna keep my eye on the chat. Express your thoughts about how you feel about this Xavier Mckinney breaking his hand on an ATV, which he reported as they were sightseeing on ATVs. I got a little bit more information per Instagram that says this might be a different case. This might not have been a sightseeing type of situation. This might have been a showing out kind of situation. But definitely let me know y'all thoughts in the chat. Again, appreciate everybody pulling up. All the new subscribers and all the new people that are pulling up today, man, make sure to hit that bell, man, so you know when we go live. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. This is going to be a quick one. I'm gonna peek in on the chat real quick just to see what y'all talking about and see, you know, how y'all feeling about this. I see some people haven't even gotten the news yet. I'm shocked about this news because we're talking about a captain from the New York Giants. Xavier Mckinney has been a pivotal piece, young player on this team who's been showing up, showing out. He's only 23 years old. I see that Pinjo Thrift didn't know about the information. Shout out to Sebastian in the building one time. I see you. He says this reminds him of the JPP incident. We're going to get there. I got a couple of reactions that actually talk about that. So let's just jump right into them, man, because I saw a bunch of overreactions. I want to get to talking about 3 overreactions, or if you agree with them, they'll be, we'll call them underreactions here. But I got 3 of them that we're going to go over today. I want to see what y'all thoughts are. And speaking of the JPP incident that happened a couple of years back with the firework incident, let's get right to it. First, I want to know what y'all think about this one. I saw this one flying around on Twitter, and I thought immediately this would be a really good one for the show. This one has to do with JPP. I'm not going to say the gentleman's name who posted this tweet, but if you want to look up the words and key search on Twitter, do your thing. This one says, Plaxico, JPP, McKinney, when does the dumb shit stop? Chat, let me know what y'all think about this one. Is this an overreaction? Are we going to lump Xavier McKinney's ATV accident in the likes of the JPP firework accident? and the Plaxico Burress accident, which happened where Plaxico Burress cheddar bobbed and actually shot himself in a nightclub. I want to say that was at Latin Quarters in New York that happened just after the Giants had won the Super Bowl, and we're trying to repeat going back to back. Let me know what y'all think about this one. Is this indeed an overreaction? Let me see a O in the chat if you think this is an overreaction. If you agree with this kind of statement, like, you know, okay, this is just another one of the stupid incidences that has happened with the New York Giants. If you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see a U in the chat one time. We'll give y'all a little bit of time to populate your answers, and we'll go over what I think about this one a little bit, man. I can't wait to get to some of these other ones because some of these are so good. I thought this one was kind of obvious here, but let me know what y'all thinking in the chat, man. I'm going to tap in with y'all, see how y'all feel about this one. Bring up a couple of y'all statements on the screen as well. Shout out to the homie Flem Dog one time in the building. Flem Dog just says, bruh. I know you upset about this one. Chris P says, way overreaction on this one. Gregory's in the building. Shout out to Gregory in the building, man. Salute to you, fam. He says this is an overreaction. New face in the building here one time. I'm not going to do a terrible job and butcher your first name, but shout out to Mr. Joseph in the building one time. Says that this is indeed an overreaction. Word says, well, ain't this some BS? I feel you on that one. D Biddle in the building. Shout out to D Biddle in the building. That's a new face in the building, too. Welcome to the fam. Says this a big overreaction. Shout out to Hyphen Wade in the building. He also says this is an overreaction. Things do happen. I'm going to speak a little bit more on that, but I do agree with you on that. Things definitely do happen. We got to figure out a way to not put ourselves in harm's way during the middle of the season, but I do agree with you. Things do happen. Shout out to SHU Carter in the building one time. Says this is an overreaction. We got a bunch of overreactions. Shout out my homie Word one time, man. Salute the Word in the building. Says that this is indeed an overreaction. I see a couple of unders piling in here at the bottom of the chat too, so shout out to y'all. Shout out to Stan Sockpot Sam Monche. Says, what's up, fam? Also, this is an overreaction. Zach is in the building, one of the biggest supporters on this channel. Shout out to Zach one time. He's taking the under on this one. He says it's a bad decision all around. ATV accidents are no joke. Yeah, that's facts, man. I did a little bit of quick research looking up ATV accidents, man, and there are people out there who have lost their lives on ATVs. I know that there was a doctor who was being an advocate for safety while riding ATVs, knowing that his son had a major accident, so he was trying to bring some awareness to that situation as well. So I do agree with you on that one, Zach. Sebastian's in the building. Shout out my other Haitian brother right there one time. He says we are 6-2. Let me make this a little bit larger, man. You know, old man eyes getting a little old here. He says we are a 6-2 team that has a realistic shot at the playoffs. This is just stupid and unfortunate. I definitely got to agree with you on that one, Sebastian. Shout out to you for pulling up one time. All right, let me see what else we got here one time. Shout out to Flem Dog one time. He says, LOL, I bought a Plaxico Burress jersey the night he shot himself, so this ain't that bad. Now, that is ironic, bro. That's definitely unfortunate, man. But at least Plaxico Burress did get that Super Bowl first before he ended up shooting himself and whatnot. Shout out to Zach one time, too. Zach says athletes need to understand their career is one injury away from ruining their career. That's facts, man. You got to be on it, man. Like, you got to understand the severity of the situation when you acquire your dreams of getting to the NFL. Now you can't mess up the bag, man. That's what's most important. You got to be aware. You got to be a responsible adult. And I know these guys are young, man. Xavier McKinney, he's only, I believe, 23 years old, which is just it's just crazy. I know when I was 23, I was out there doing some crazy stuff too. But at the end of the day, man, you got to understand what's at stake here, man. Not only your NFL career is at stake, but I'm sure a lot of people depending on you to get the bag so that they can keep their situation the way that it is. And Xavier, you definitely messing that up with this situation. Shout out to the homie, Mr. Joseph. He says it's cool, authentic. You know how them Haitian names go. Oh, that's facts. Another Haitian in the building. Shout out to the homie, Mr. Joseph in the building, man. You got to show me how to pronounce that one time so I know I'm definitely not trying to butcher the vibes up here one time. Shout out to Alvaro O'Ryan, who's in the building as well. Looks like most people took the overreaction on this one here with Plaxico, JPP, McKinney. When does the dumb-ish stop? I got to agree with them. I do think that this is an overreaction. An ATV accident, it is a serious situation, and you don't want one of your captains on an ATV in the middle of the season on a bye week. But I can't compare this to the Plaxico Burress situation, which, one, I think the Plaxico Burress situation is a one of a kind. I think that one is kind of like, you shouldn't be in the club with a gun in the first place and with it in your waistband and some sweatpants to the point where you accidentally discharge the firearm and end up shooting yourself. Now you end up having to deal with jail time and legal issues and whatnot. But not only that, you put your team at stake here with the injury, and you couldn't even finish out the season. So I think the Plaxico Beers thing, you kind of got to put that in its own, situation. The JPP one, I put it right in the middle here, because JPP, it's like, okay, on the 4th of July, I understand that is in the off season. You don't want to not be doing anything in the off season. These guys got to live their lives. But to have a situation where you're the guy lighting the fireworks is kind of crazy. But JPP had, I want to say it was like a foundation or an organization that they did this on the 4th of July pretty much like every year or something like that. Still very irresponsible. So I put the JPP one kind of in the middle. Xavier Mckinney, man, this is your first time kind of learning how to win with the New York Giants. You got to figure out a way to keep yourself out of harm's way. Riding an ATV when you guys are 6-2, this reminds me of the boat trip, just a little bit, except I feel like the boat trip was, okay, this is the proper way to do it. You want to get a little bit of R&R, get on a boat, relax, maybe have some drinks, chill, vibe with some people, some celebrities and whatnot. I never looked at the boat trip as a real severe situation. The boat trip was just, hey, maybe you shouldn't have been partying, but you still got to live your lives as football players. I don't think the boat trip had anything to do with the way that the New York Giants played football on Sunday in the playoffs against the Packers. So I got to put these all in different situations, but McKinney's does remind me of the boat trip. It's like, bro, I understand you want to be having fun, but you really shouldn't be on an ATV. And according to a lot of people on Twitter, I saw Bobby posted this. He said, do not go and check Jihad Ward's Instagram. Of course, I went over to Jihad Ward's Instagram and checked it out, saw a picture that he had posted. They're not on some normal ATVs. They on some looking like some souped up ATVs. He's popping a wheelie. According to some more reports that happened on Twitter, people were saying that Jihad Ward's stories on his Instagram, which are now deleted, had shown all of them popping wheelies and trying to do tricks on the ATVs, which to me, that's even more irresponsible. I could understand if you was just cruising, chilling, maybe a good 15 miles per hour on the ATV, sightseeing, that's cool. But if you out there and y'all trying to show off, doing pop wheelies and whatnot, I really don't think that's responsible. These dudes are young men, but at the same time, you got to find a way to be more responsible. And, this is how you learn. I learned how to be a responsible adult by making mistakes. This is how you learn. I can't lump Xavier McKinney's situation in with JPP and Plaxico Beers. I do think that those ones are a little more drastic. So I agree with most of the people in the chat. I'm going to say that this is indeed an overreaction. So let's move it to the next one. Appreciate everybody jumping in and putting their thoughts out there on that one. I see the homie Glock is in the building. Shout out to the homie Glock. I see y'all conversing amongst yourselves in the chat. Shout out to all the Giants Nation pulling up on a Monday during the bye week. I know a lot of people probably at work and whatnot, but definitely shout out to all of y'all for pulling up, rocking with your boy Awthentik on this Monday. We're going to try to keep this show extremely short. Just wanted to get this news out there to anybody that's in my fan base that might not have known about this, and just get our thoughts off and get our thoughts on the table about this. I saw a lot of overreactions on Twitter. I figured, man, let me not go here, jump into a bunch of conversations, get to debating with people. Let's chop it up with the fam and keep this within close quarters and just get the conversation going about Xavier McKinney, who is reported now to be out for at least a couple of weeks. A broken hand. I mean, we've seen this with injuries to Russell Wilson. That broken, I want to say it was a thumb for him. It might have been on his hand as well, but he was out for somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks last season. They're saying a couple weeks. I'm thinking this might be a few weeks for real. I'm probably anticipating him being out for a good 4 weeks over here. But I got to say that this statement on the screen right here, this one is indeed an overreaction to me. Now, I wanted to get to this one. Super famous guy in our community as far as the New York Giants go. And I saw his opinions on this one bright and early. And this is kind of why, I always tell y'all, I gauge my opinions by looking at a lot of other people's opinions and then trying to come to a conclusion see how that matches my own opinion. That's how I look at things, right? So I'm always scouring the internet, trying to figure out things and gauge the proper perspective before I put myself out there on a limb and speak on my own thoughts. I'd like to gather my thoughts before I speak on them a little bit. I saw that LPG posted this one this morning. Shout out to LPG, who does a ton of work for the Giants community, getting people tickets, man. He was at the Fan Fest I went to 2 years ago, and he was at the Fan Fest last year. I had the pleasure of doing a video that featured him mainly in it. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, I believe it's still on the channel. Just look up Fan Fest 2021. You can check that one out. Shout out to the homie Sean G. I want to get to his comment. I see he addressed me directly in it. Let me see. He says, but you got to think, Awthentik, the difference between Russ's injury and McKinney's is Russ relies on that hand. McKinney could probably get away with playing not 100%. That's totally true. I saw some people on Twitter actually saying that maybe he could put a cast on the hand, club it up, and get out there. Now, I do think that the Giants have been a great team with next man up vibes the whole entire year. We do got Dane Belton out there. We got Julian Love out there. We do have Landon Collins, who now with the bye week maybe is a little bit more accustomed to what's going on in Wink Martindale's system. Maybe he could see some time out there at safety. But nonetheless, it's going to be detrimental to our team. This is one of the best players, probably the best player on that side of the ball. I know we got a lot of talented people on that side of the ball. But losing Xavier Mckinney for what might be at least a couple of weeks, to me, I think we'll see. We'll see more reports come out. I don't want to speculate on it, but we'll see. We'll know that the floor of this injury will probably be about 2 weeks. Maximum could be somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see. Xavier Mckinney is the kind of guy that is a ball hawk. But Sean G, shout out to you for pulling up and bringing your thoughts to the table. 1,000%, brother. I definitely appreciate that. I see She Got Sports is in the building. Shout out to the graphics department one time. For those of y'all that don't know, the graphics department, you're looking right at him one time. Shout out to Awthentik and the Beard and the graphics department, the sound department, the music department, all of that, man. We try to do our best over here on the channel here. And if you aren't subbed up, man, make sure that subscribe button, that'll go a long way in supporting the channel. And make sure y'all go over there and support She Got Sports. She's got an awesome channel over there, booming over there on her channel. I popped in last week for the first time in a while. I see you doing great things over there. So salute to you. Can't wait to catch up with you at some point here during the season. But let's talk about this one from LPG. License plate guy says, if you're going at McKinney because he suffered a freak ATV accident, you're an idiot. Anybody can get hurt getting in and out the shower. And I wanted to bring this one up because license plate guy wasn't the only person that was talking about slipping coming out of the shower. And I actually know someone, I know someone allegedly that slipped on their way out the shower. It was my uncle when I was a kid. I remember he had this massive bruise on his face, and he talked about how he slipped in the shower, fell on his face and whatnot. But at the end of the day, most people do not slip coming out the shower. It happens, but it's not like they actually were like, hey, let me go hop on a four-wheeler. I could compare this to, you remember when those hoverboards came out a couple years back? I remember Floyd Mayweather had an accident on one of them things. Mike Tyson had an accident on one of those things. And we can't be like, oh, well, these things kind of happen every day. You decided to hop on the hoverboard and end up busting your ass. So that's going to be on you. But I want to know what y'all think about this one, Chad. What do y'all think about LPG's comments on here? For me, right off the bat, I don't like that he commented and saying that you're an idiot if you're coming at McKinney. I mean, I think that these players get paid a lot of money to be able to withstand a lot of the critiques and criticism that come from the fan base. And I think a lot of that has to do with, the position that they're in. A lot of these athletes are famous. They're, known people in the communities, especially in the New York Giants community. So I did think that was a little bit suspect. But what are y'all thoughts about this? Like, pretty much just overlooking this as a, just regular type of thing that can happen to anybody. If you think that this is an overreaction from LPG, let me see an O in the chat. And if you agree with his statement on the screen, let me see a U in the chat one time to say that you agree with it. And if you kind of unsettled on it, let me see a P in the chat for the push one time. I'll give y'all a little bit of time to get y'all thoughts populated. Shout out to the homie one time in the building. He gets a shout out every time he pops in here, man. Shout out to the homie Michael Knights. One time in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, my guy. And I see Gregory's also in the building one time as well. A couple new faces in here. But let me know what y'all thinking about this one. Is this an overreaction? Does Xavier McKinney not warrant any criticism by going to Cabo, hopping on an ATV, and crashing on his ATV? Let me know what y'all think about this one. We'll rock a beat for just a little bit here. Let y'all get y'all thoughts together, and then we'll run over some of these in the chat and see what we looking like. Man, it's a extremely warm day to those of y'all on the East Coast. I'm down here in Washington, D.C., man. It's like 74 degrees out here, man. I'm hearing lawnmowers outside, people mowing their lawns. I thought it was winter, and all of a sudden now we got to dial back. I might even have to jack up the air conditioner one time for a couple of days. We got 3 beautiful days here on the East Coast, man. But let me see what y'all talking about here in these overreactions or not. Let me dial this one back just a little bit. All right, let me start with the homie Sebastian Sakpa said, mon cher. He says he's taking the under on this one. He agrees with the statement on the screen. Chris Peace also agrees with the statement on the screen. He's taking the under on this one. He thinks anybody can get hurt getting in and out the shower, flying off an ATV. I wish somebody had some video of this. I don't know if y'all saw the slow motion video that one of the Logan Paul, and I forget the other dude's name, but one of the Paul brothers was in a wrestling event this past week. And I hear he ended up tearing his ACL, but he had a slow-mo selfie perspective from the top ropes, going from the top ropes out of the ring, landing on one of the other wrestlers on a 6-foot table, man. It was a hilarious video, like selfie perspective. And as soon as he hit the ground, you could just see him. It reminded me of Peter Griffin from Family Guy. As soon as he hit the table, he was just like, he was extremely hurt. And right before he jumped off the top ropes, he was like, you want your viral moment? You gonna get your viral moment. I wish we had a video of Xavier Mckinney because I really want to know the details on this. I'm gonna keep it real. It's hard to speculate as much as I want to. It's hard to speculate with what really happened without no visual evidence outside of what we saw on Jihad Ward's Instagram one time. But Chris P says he agrees with the statement. Shout out to Jameson in the building one time. Coach J-Mo also agrees with the statement on the screen. Gregory bringing to our attention that the Colts did fire their head coach, Frank Reich. That is breaking news. I want to say it's Jeff Saturday, ESPN analyst, is going to be taking over as the interim head coach. I think I saw something about that. Don't quote me. Make sure you do a little research on that. But Frank Reich is out of there as far as the Indianapolis Colts go. And Tom's World says that he's right. He says that LPG is right on this one. Let me see. So M626M says, so we shouldn't have been upset with JPP for playing with firecrackers. I said firecrackers one time. Shout out to M626M in the building. Yeah, that's a great question you ask right there, because if we're going to give people the pass for playing around with ATVs, how far do we go with that? I definitely agree with you on that one. Shout out to you one time in the building. Michael Knight says, you have to understand he knows most of these players, so he's going to defend them. That's a good point too. And just as well as I talked about LPG, calling out the fan base, or, anybody's an idiot that attacked Xavier Mckinney, I didn't want to use this as a platform to attack LPG for his opinions. I definitely respect him 1,000% for putting his opinion out there on the line immediately. Right when it happened, he went out there and he talked about it. I'm all for that. I think that as Giants fans, we need to be able to disagree on certain things, but not be able to come at people for it. I see a lot of people, I know it's a lot of young people on Twitter, but I see a lot of people attacking people's identity, attacking people for the way they look, attacking people for their views and all kind of things just off the strength of an opinion that they have. And I don't think that's fair. You'll never see me on Twitter calling somebody a clown or anything like that, just for the simple fact that they disagree with my opinion and they have a different stance on something than I do. So I don't want to use this as a platform to attack him, but I think Michael Knight brings up a really great point here that LPG is very close to the organization. He knows a lot of these players. You see him in conversations with guys like Odell Beckham, guys like Xavier McKinney on Twitter, and you see this religiously. So I do think he's very close. It'd be like if the Beard was out there on an ATV and he had an accident this week and couldn't come and show up for the show on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when we recap all the games from the NFC East. Yeah, I'd probably be giving the Beard a little bit of a pass there. So definitely agree with Michael Knight on that one time. Shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. My day one in the building representing us one time in the DMV. He says, this is an overreaction. No one is above criticism, especially in this situation. And all that name calling is corny, and taking a shower is a normal task. That's how I kind of feel about it. I do think that waking up, taking a shower is a normal task. If you slip in the middle of a snowstorm out on your front porch like Meek Mill did, I don't know if y'all saw that footage when Meek Mill fell a couple of years ago. We can't say, every day somebody's walking out their porch, and then compare it to somebody falling off of an ATV. I do think that things are very different, especially when you're in the middle of a season trying to make a playoff push here. Xavier McKinney being one of the captains on this team, that is really not captain-like behavior, if you ask me. So I do gotta agree with No Mets, No Nets, No Jets on this one time. I think that no one is above criticism. That's for damn sure. As long as it's respectful, nobody is above any type of criticism. So I do agree with you on that. Alvaro coming in hot one time with the overreaction as well. She Got Sports also says this is an overreaction. Me and She Got Sports, Lauren over there, we always tend to agree on a lot of things when it comes to New York Giants stuff. We've definitely chopped it up in my DMs a couple of times about that. We definitely see the Giants community and the Giants players and the whole, landscape of the football team in a very similar kind of aspect there one time. So shout out to you one time. Benjamin in the building one time. My man Ben Nagel one time holding it down on the West Coast, man. Shout out to you, brother. He says this is an overreaction. Glad you could pull up and check us out for this Giant Overreaction Week 9 edition. Sank Zappa in the building. I wish the beard was here. I just got a fresh cut, shaved and all that, so I ain't even got too much stash going on, trying to keep the youthful vibes going up one time. Shout out to Sank one time in the building, though. He says this is an overreaction. Gregory also says it's an overreaction. I think Jameson had a change of heart. Y'all remember that show back in the day, Change of Heart? Game was on that joint one time. He says this is an overreaction. Shout out to Gretz right upstairs. Also says this is an overreaction. I got her opinions firsthand when I told her about this just about an hour ago. Shout out to Mr. Joseph one time in the building. He says it's an overreaction as well. You were pro in a meaningful winning season. What he did is avoidable. Slipping in the shower isn't. Yeah, that's facts. Unless you a little grimy, a little musty, and you want to deal with, not smelling a little bit fresh, and you ain't gonna take a shower. But taking a shower is something you got to do on a daily, if not once, possibly twice, depending on what kind of work day you got going on out there. So I definitely agree with Mr. Joseph on this one time, man. 1,000%. Sean G also says it's an overreaction. From Jihad Ward's IG post, it looked like they were clearly being irresponsible and careless. It sucks, but hoped we can get him back for Dallas if it's possible. I definitely agree with you on that, man. Definitely some irresponsible vibes. And I know what they was thinking. They was probably thinking, man, we could go out here, man. Let's go have some fun, man. Go hop on some four-wheelers. I ain't gonna front. I'd probably be the guy to be like, yeah, let's go do it, dog, and hopefully get away with it. But you gotta be extremely careful when you're doing things like that. If I'm gonna be the guy on the four-wheel, I'm probably not gonna be popping wheelies and doing nothing crazy. That's allegedly. I don't know if we got Xavier Mckinney on tape doing wheelies. I'm sure the footage is gonna come out. I scoured Twitter, scoured YouTube, scoured Instagram, could not find that footage, man. I was hoping to find that for y'all so I could break that here and show y'all some of that breaking footage, but it's not out there yet. But I'm sure somebody screenshotted that and it is out there. Shout out to Sebastian. He's taking the under on this one. He does agree with the statement from LPG on the screen. Shout out to Michael Knight, man, saying the beat is fire, man. Yeah, this one from like 4 or 5 years ago too, man. Appreciate that, fam. Cook this one up. For all the producer enthusiasts out there, I'm making my beats these days on Ableton Live, man, and using a lot of contact libraries to cook up some of these beats, man. So shout out to Michael Knight for recognizing the flame one time, man. I appreciate that one time. All right, let me see. Let me make sure we don't got any more. Shout out to Deedon Shelton, too, one time in the building. Says people take showers every day, or should. That's exactly how I felt about that. Riding ATV during the bye week is not a smart decision. He's a captain. Yeah, you 1,000% right on that. Shout out to the homie one time in the building, my guy Glock, day one. He's one of the only people with a sound effect on the board one time. 2 activities are not comparable. You have to wash your ass. I know that's right. You don't have to ride an ATV. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I might even quote you and steal this for my Twitter, because it just seems like, and I don't know if this is just on Twitter. It's probably not just on Twitter. This is probably the vibes across the board, just in humanity. It's like people take these one example type situations and they use the same example to like defend their stance. And I don't like that. Like, come up with something a little bit more original. Like, maybe you could compare it to something that's a little bit more risky outside of taking a shower. I saw this whole taking a shower narrative on Twitter, like a bunch, so many people saying this. And I'm just like, I just don't agree with that. Like, no, like in the middle of the season, you have to take a shower. You do not have to be jumping on the ATV. That is not the vibes. But comparing the ATV accident to taking a shower is like comparing an ATV accident to a real car accident. Like, we know you got to get up and go do your thing. Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns just got in an accident this past week. There's no one in their right mind that is going to hold him negligible for the car accident. Even if he was out there, he was running late for practice or whatever. I don't know if y'all remember the situation with the backup quarterback for the New York Giants. I think it was Kyle Lauletta. Who he was speeding to practice and whatnot. We kind of tried to give him the pass a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like if you get into an accident in your car, very different than getting into an accident on an ATV on a vacation in Cabo. It's just very different. The one thing is for leisure, and one thing is you have to do it to get to work or to get to where you're going. They're two totally different things. So shout out to Glock one time, man. I definitely agree with you 1,000% on this one. And the heavyweight champion of the world is in the building, gives a major woo Ric Flair vibes, says sightseeing on an ATV is different than popping wheelies. He is irresponsible. Totally. And I even think, like, if he was out there just sightseeing on the ATV, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, find a way to be more responsible. If you want to go out there and get a little bit of R&R, do that. But riding ATVs, that's not R&R, bro. Like, yo, to this day, I have never rode an ATV in my entire life. I would love to ride one. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. The reason why is because riding ATVs is straight leisure work. It's straight leisure stuff. Like, dog, like, that's just not a great vibe, especially in the middle of a season when you're looking at a team that's sitting at 6-2, man. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you on this one, heavyweight champion of the world. I appreciate you pulling up. And let me see who else we got from this one time. All right, shout out to Fabian, man. What up, fam? Hope all is well, man. Fabian's in the building, man. Always showing love out here one time. And I see I always try to bring attention to the new folks one time in here, man, because y'all know we a family over here. We've seen a lot of opinions. I almost know how some of y'all going to react to this stuff because y'all been rocking with us for so long over here at Awthentik in the Beard. But shout out to Arvind Parmar. He says, no one is above criticism, but fans have no right to get pissed for what a dude does in his personal time. Switch it up. Would you appreciate it if you were in his shoes? I wouldn't appreciate it if I was in his shoes, but it would be warranted. I would expect it. I mean, like, dog, like, if I'm a skateboarder, right? I love skateboarding. If in the middle of me shooting a film, I love skateboarding and I'm a cinematographer. If I'm in the middle of shooting a film and on Saturday, I get the day off and I'm like, let me go to the skate park, man, go try a couple kick flips, hit some rails, try some grinds and all that. And then I end up falling and breaking my wrist. And now everybody who's on set at that film is now going to be, a detriment to what happened in my situation of falling on a skateboard. I'm going to understand that they're upset, like 1,000%. And I'm going to be apologetic the whole time because at the end of the day, this all could have been avoided if I did not hop on my skateboard. When you're on a mission, this is how I described it in brief words on Twitter before I got on air. If you on a mission, stay on that mission. Nothing else should get in the way outside of your responsibilities as an adult, your family, everything you got going on with your friends and your community. You should stay on the mission. The New York Giants are in season, on a mission. Xavier McKinney is on contract, and there are things that are in the contract that say that you can't really be doing stuff like this. Now, and I could bring this to y'all attention now. So I saw that Dan Dugan tweeted this out. He tweeted out a screenshot about this earlier today, and I think this is a good time to bring this one up with the statement that Arvind has on the screen. I think it's very appropriate. He screenshotted something that looked like it was a part of either like the contract or, just general contracts that have to do with the New York Giants. And it said, guaranteed salary in a Giants player's contract shall immediately null and void in its entirety if a player is unavailable to the club as a result of injury, engaging in any activity which may involve significant risk of personal injury, including but not limited to water or snow skiing, surfing, hang gliding, bungee jumping, diving, skydiving, rock or mountain climbing, race car driving, riding a motorcycle or a motorbike. And this was underlined in his statement, all-terrain or similar vehicles as a driver or a passenger. There's a reason why they put this stuff in these contracts, because I'm sure that teams have dealt with this before. The Ben Roethlisberger motorcycle accident comes to mind. There's been a couple of other motorcycle accidents that have came to mind. Bobby Skinner responded to Dan Dugan on this one, and Bobby Skinner said, obviously they won't cut him, but I wonder if this takes away cap hits in the games that he misses. And Bobby asked also, he added to that, he said, could it be automatic, speaking on the money that would be deducted from the contract? And Dan Dugan kind of clarified it and said, all it means is that the money is now not guaranteed. So anything that happened with the money that was guaranteed, the Giants now can make a decision on it moving forward, whether or not Xavier McKinney will have any of the money deducted from his salary. That's what I'm gauging from it. So for me, teams aren't going to put these things in the salary. Once you join the NFL and you join the organization of the New York Giants, now there are stipulations and policies that go within that company. For instance, when I worked at this one studio, I had to sign an NDA when I worked at the recording studio that said, hey, you cannot take any of our clients if you ever leave this studio. And it had a bunch of other stipulations of things that I could not do if I indeed agreed and signed my name on that dotted line to work for that particular recording studio. So I think Xavier McKinney knows what's going on in this situation. These things are in the contract for a reason. You got to be able to be a little bit more responsible. And at the same time, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a young man. You made a mistake. 23 years old, man. I can speak from experience from my life that has nothing on Xavier McKinney, who is sitting on a major, major, major bag, okay? He's got a lot more at stake than I did at 23, right? But at the same time, this is how you learn. You got to make mistakes to learn. There's few and far people who are perfect walking examples of responsible human beings on this earth that have not made mistakes, okay? Gary Vee has a saying that whoever fails the most wins, and I always agree with that 1,000%. A lot of people, they can't wrap their mind around that. But the way that you see success is by failing and not knowing how to fail anymore. I think that this is going to be Xavier McKinney he strikes me as a guy that's extremely smart and also extremely responsible. We never really had to deal with Xavier McKinney with any of these kind of situations, and this is kind of like the first of, not many situations that have happened with Xavier McKinney. He dealt with an injury his rookie season early on in the year, and that's really about all we've heard from Xavier McKinney. So I do think that this is going to be a learning experience for him moving forward, and he'll find a way to keep himself out of these kind of situations and keep himself out of harm's way. But shout out to Arvin, man, for joining that discussion, man, and joining the family in this conversation we having today. Shout out to Rene Ruiz. I wanted to get to this one. At the very least, he deserves criticism for violating his contract and it affecting the team. It's crazy. I didn't know that, I was going to pull up your comment, Rene, but it goes hand in hand with the one we were just talking about with Arvin Palmer. What he was saying is no one is above criticism, and the fans, I do understand. It's like you don't want to attack the player, but if we're talking about how stupid of a decision this was to get on the ATV in Cabo, I think it's warranted. I do think it's a bit warranted. So I do agree with Renee on this one too, 1,000%. And I do think that this is an overreaction, and it's understandable. That's why I commend LPG for putting his thoughts out there early on. It's a knee-jerk reaction off the bat. And I think that he'll kind of think differently about this, possibly won't. But I do think that this is a bit of an overreaction. And I've had my fair share of overreactions when stuff breaks and, breaking news pops out. I can, even just speaking on the Kadarius Toney situation that just happened when he was traded, I went out there on Twitter and I tweeted out my initial reaction. Like, I'm walking around the house pissed off, yelling, F this, F that, because Kadarius Toney got traded. And a lot of Giants fans came at me for that. And I don't blame them. Like, whatever. If you got a certain vibe that you feel a certain way about Xavier McKinney and the way that he, left the New York Giants organization, yeah, then I understand it. And I understand it's warranted. So I think LPG will kind of feel kind of the exact same way, just kind of scrolling through some more of these and just making sure I got the bulk of the comments that I wanted to highlight here. Chris Peace got a good one here, too. He says, team captains have to build and keep chemistry with their teammates. We can't all just sit around and play Xbox. That's real. That's definitely real. You definitely got to build chemistry with your teammates, and I think there's a fine line of how you do that, I was one that gave the boat trip a pass. A lot of people blame the loss on Odell Beckham when Victor Cruz actually came out later on and said that, like, a lot of the boat idea was his idea. And he was the supposedly veteran on that team. But I didn't look at that as something that was going to be a detriment to the way that the New York Giants played on Sunday. They had that week off. They take a day, they go hang out in Miami, they chill out. Who knows? If they won the game, people might have been crediting the boat trip as the reason why they won the game. But this one, ATV accident, middle of the season, I think it's a little bit more egregious than the boat trip is, just a little bit, and especially because of the consequences that ended up with the consequences that we suffered by losing Xavier McKinney now to a couple of weeks at bare minimum here. So shout out to LPG, man, for putting his thoughts out there. He's a really good dude. Can't wait to work with him some more in the future. I did see he was on Talking Giants mailbag episode just a couple of episodes back, maybe their latest episode. So go check that out, man. Go show some support. And, rock out with the whole Giants community, man. We are all one community. I like to stress the fact about that. We are all one community here. Whether we all got different opinions and whatnot, that's a different story. But I don't think that's any reason to be attacking anybody. And I see that Glock said he had a question. Let me see. I want to scroll down to that. I saw it in the main chat. Let me see here. I know I saw it. Just trying to scroll back and get that one from the homie one time. Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it. I saw Glock said he had a question. Glock, if you can repost the question one time, so when this chat populates, I can see it right at the top, or at the top of my feed here, man. So I can highlight that question. Definitely want to get that out the way. But in the meantime, let's get to the next overreaction. I think the general consensus about this one was it is a bit of an overreaction. I think I know where LPG was kind of going with this. It was just a little bit worded, a little bit sketchy, I feel like. But yeah, again, appreciate him for putting his thoughts out there. And this is Glock's question. Shout out to Glock one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up. He says, question, do you think the Giants' upcoming opponents are already planning to leverage McKinney being out? I think so. I mean, but if any evidence shows with the New York Giants this season is that one player does not affect the way that we move. So I think Xavier McKinney, losing him, that's going to be a major blow to this defense, right? But we do have guys there on the back end of that secondary that can step up and make some plays. Dane Belton has been playing incredible football, and hopefully Landon Collins can come out here, man, and step up. I know they kind of had more of a money backer, linebacker role for Landon Collins, but maybe he can, find a way to step up and be the strong safety for this team, man. He's had experience doing that with the Giants already, not within this system, but I trust Wink Martindale. We had conversations on the last Giant Overreaction about the hierarchy of how the New York Giants have been winning games. A lot of people had a bunch of different thoughts on that, quarterback, running back, coaching, defense. For me, it's Wink Martindale in this defense. Wink Martindale and this defense have been keeping us in every game pretty much this whole entire season. Outside of that first half against the Packers, man, this defense has been playing lights out, and we've already dealt with a ton of injuries, especially at the edge rusher position early on in this season. We had Kayvon Thibodeau out, Azeez Ojulari out. We've already dealt with injuries and found ways to be able to step up and make it happen. So for me, to answer the question, Glock, I think that teams are going to be scheming for sure, knowing that Xavier McKinney is going to be out, but I don't think there's not a lot there to look at. Like Xavier McKinney, some speed, ball hawk. You're probably going to lose some of that by bringing in guys like Landon Collins. Dane Belton's going to have to step up and take more snaps here, and everybody else around him in the secondary is going to have to play their part just a little bit more to be able to get these next couple victories. And this Houston Texans game coming out this bye, man, it's critical, man, because you saw the Texans on Thursday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. They put up a great fight, man. They put up a great fight. So I do trust this coaching staff, though, to be able to make the right decision and put these players in the right position, man, to be able to still be able to come out here and play at a high level. This defense has been playing at a high level all year long, and the Giants are the second most injured team in the entire NFL right now. And it's crazy because I was looking at the Minnesota Vikings going into this matchup against the Commanders. The Minnesota Vikings have only suffered one injury to a starter this whole entire season that knocked them out of a game, or that knocked that player out of a game. And it was the tight end that they actually just put on the IR. And now they got TJ Hockenson. I always forget that tight end's name. He's Irv Smith. He's a really good player, too. He's the only starter that's been hurt the entire year on that Minnesota Vikings defense. And y'all know as Giants fans, we've been or on that Minnesota Vikings team. But y'all know as Giants fans, we've been dealing with injuries left and right. This wide receiver core has been banged up all year long. We're seeing Saquon Barkley fight through injuries. We got the injuries on the offensive line now. Evan Neal, Bredeson was banged up for a game or two there. You got the edge rushers that have been banged up. It's been tough for the New York Giants, and this is the same old story for about 5-6 years now, dealing with all these injuries. So I'm looking for, just a way to keep this momentum going. Wink Martindale's done a good job of just bringing the next man up. Hopefully they can keep that momentum going. But, no excuses, man. That's my whole vibe. No excuses. These guys are all paid to be NFL football players, and they're supposed to be depth pieces that can come in and be able to handle business. I'm hoping it's Landon Collins. That will be awesome if it's Landon Collins who could come up and step up and play a big role for the New York Giants, man. I think he's a proven player that is trustworthy. It's just is his body still there to be able to do the things that he once did when he was younger? We'll see. Landon Collins was fairly quiet in that last game against the Seattle Seahawks for sure, but I believe we saw him out there for a couple of snaps. But hope that answered your question, Glock. Let's take it to this next overreaction. This going to be the last one, and then we're going to get up out of here, man. Shout out to all of y'all, man. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, rocking with us, man. On the bye week here, we got 75 in the chat here on a Monday. It's 45 minutes into the episode here, week 9 edition, man. I didn't even think we were going to be doing this show, man. So shout out to y'all. Saw a couple people just pulling in. Definitely appreciate y'all rocking. Just to kind of recap, we're talking about the Xavier McKinney injury that he suffered in Cabo on the ATV. Looks like he's got a broken hand and is going to be out for a couple of weeks here, man. Very detrimental to this New York Giants defense. Sitting here at 6-2, coming off that loss to the Seattle Seahawks, trying to keep pace in the NFC here with the Eagles and the Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings, who just beat the Commanders on Sunday here at FedEx Field, man. So salute to y'all. Appreciate y'all pulling up, rocking with us. We got this one more overreaction, and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here. Now, let me know what y'all think about this one. I saw this one running around on Twitter as well. And, being that Xavier McKinney was named the captain this year on a very youthful team, man, there's not a lot of veteran pieces on this team. Let me know what y'all think about this one. Xavier McKinney is the reason you don't just throw the captain title around. Do y'all agree with this statement on the screen? If you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see a U in the chat, which means you are taking the under on the overreaction. And if you think that this is not really the case and you disagree with the statement on the screen, let me see a O in the chat, which represents you are going to say that this is an overreaction. And especially with a young guy like this, if you want to take the push on this one, let me know what you think. If Xavier McKinney deserves a little bit more time to be able to prove himself as a captain on his team. I'll give y'all a little bit of time to populate y'all answers while we rock out to a couple of authentic beats. Let me know what y'all thinking about this one. Is this indeed an overreaction? And we making good time over here, man. We have 46 minutes. Y'all know how I like to do on the Giant Overreaction. I had a homie on Twitter tell me, man, yo, I support your show, even though your shows be long as ever, bro, because y'all know some of these lives get to be like 2.5 hours, man. We be up here chopping it up, talking about these overreactions and whatnot, man. I like to get a lot of y'all opinions on the screen. Appreciate y'all pulling up, man, and also having y'all own conversations within the chat, man. Y'all know how it is over here. It's a big family. And shout out to the homie Big Pat one time, man. He dropped a video this morning about the Xavier McKinney injury as well. Haven't got a chance to check that out, but I'm sure it's great content. Make sure y'all go support Big Pat over there, Big Pat Sports Talk, and hit that bell, man. Subscribe to him, man. Y'all know we putting our foot into this New York Giants content, man, and we can't do this without y'all. So salute to the gang, salute to the community, and salute to the homie Big Pat one time, man. I got to pull up on y'all channel and chop it up with y'all soon. All right, so it looks like general consensus here is this is an overreaction from the chat, at least. Shout out to SHU Carter. He says this is indeed an overreaction. Chris also says this is an overreaction. Shout out to Chris one time in the building. That's a new face, man. Welcome to the fam. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're digging the vibes over here one time. Sebastian, Sac passe mon cher. Hope all is well, brother. He says big overreaction one time. Gregory also says overreaction along with Sean G. Shout out to Sean G one time in the building. He says it's a major overreaction. And Big Pat also said it was an overreaction. Chris P says it's an overreaction. And SHU Carter had to add to it a big, fat, gigantic overreaction one time. NY Chris in the building. Shout out NY Chris, man. Day one in the building. Says this a overreaction. One bad decision doesn't discount everything. I'm with you on that 1,000%, brother. What is that even supposed to mean? Says Willie Bean 24 one time. I feel you on that too, man. And John B, shout out to John B, rocking with the homie Tupac one time. Blessed you with some of your favorite hooks on albums like Me Against the World. Shout out to John B one time. He says this is an overreaction. And through the woods to GMA's house we go. Grandma's house? I think that's what we're saying over there. I'm trying to decipher what we're talking about there, but shout out to John B one time in the building. Atriox is in the building one time. Says this is an overreaction with 4 O's one time in the building. Fabian also says neither O or U. Take the C in my opinion. The C for the captain. I like that, Fabian. That's a good vibe one time. Shout out to Mr. Joseph in the building. Huge overreaction, he says. He's still a leader on this team. I definitely agree with you on that. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says this overreaction. You have to give the young guys a chance. That's facts. You got to give these young guys time to build their character. That's 100% facts, man. Shout out to no Mets, no Nets, no Jets in the building one time. Big Pat says, man, for real, LOL, our lives be at least 3 hours long. Thanks for the shout out. You know it. Big Pat is also another person who his lives, they go crazy. Like, I've been a part of some of his lives where he's been on air for like 5 hours. They'll do play-by-play for the game and chop it up with the fans in the comments after the game for hours on hours end, man. So shout out to Big Pat putting his time and effort into this New York Giants content one time. Glock is in the building one time. Glock says he's taking a push. Could go either way. That's a very safe answer. I like that answer. That's a smart one right there by the homie Glock. Big Pat says definitely come through. You already know, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all always welcome me with open arms over there at Big Pat Sports Talk. We have some great conversations. It seems like we never agree, but we always got big respect for each other. And shout out to the homie G. G been calling that 11-6 for the New York Giants for about a good 3 seasons now. And it looks like his dreams might come true this year. So I'm crossing my fingers for all of us in the Giants Nation that we could get to that 11-6 or better. And shout out to G for calling that for a long time. I know he's going to feel great when the Giants do push to that 11-6 or better record. Who else we got in the building one time? Yo, what's good is in the building. I hope all is good with Yo, what's good. He says this an overreaction. The Illa NYG says this an overreaction as well. And John B said, yeah, GMA equals grandma. Facts. You know, I'm getting caught up to all the acronyms and all the emojis and all that stuff, man. You know, I'm a 39-year-old man going on 40, man. So I'm trying to stay hip with y'all one time. But shout out to John B one time in the building. Glock also says leaders are called upon to be an example to others. That's true. And that's the part where Xavier Mckinney, you know, there's a little bit of a blemish here because you are the captain. The rest of these guys are going to be looking up to you. And, you know, there is that fine line, that balance of being like, you want to be relatable as a captain. You don't want to be that captain that's looked upon like that guy that's like, oh, man, here come captain. You know, he going to be all pressed and he going to be trying to be extra diligent today and, you know, militant and whatnot. So I definitely feel there's a fine balance on that. Gregory said, clear my throat, LL Cool J vibes one time. I like that one time. And A-Tone 23, shout out to A-Tone 23 one time, man. Welcome to the family. He says he just subbed up to welcome to Big Pat Sports Talk, man. Appreciate you pulling up, rocking with us today, man. Big Pat puts down some great content, man, and he's consistent. That's why I like Big Pat's channel, man. You know when it's some breaking news or some big topics in the Giants community, Big Pat's going to be all over it, man. So definitely both of us appreciate you rocking out with Big Pat and supporting that channel, man. Appreciate that one time. Let me see what else we got. Any other overreactions here? I see one from Atriox, a little long-winded here. I want to bring this one up on the screen one time here. He says, like, bro, these players are still young and rich. They want to have fun with the money. It's unfortunate he got injured, but you live and you learn. He'll come out a stronger and smarter player for it. I 1,000% agree with you on that. And that's the thing, is that fine balance. You know, it's not like we're telling players, hey, don't have fun, don't live your life, you know, but at the same time, you got to have that balance of being safe, especially during the season. Like, you know, the thing about JPP, it happened off season. So I kind of was more willing to give him a pass. And a lot of fans were like, not only like, you know, giving JPP a hard time about that, but they were also being extremely disrespectful about that as well, you know, making jokes about his hand. And, you know, I can even remember people showing like the scream, use your strong hand type joint and like stuff like that. That's not a good vibe, man. We got to find a way to be respectful at the same time. And I think that's the balance that you know, I bet you with LPG's post that he posted on Twitter that we brought up a little bit earlier, he probably saw some stuff that you know, prompted him to tweet that out that was probably disrespectful towards Xavier Mckinney. Now, we definitely not going to tolerate the disrespect. That's for damn sure. But at the same time, the criticism, we can deal with criticism. We're all adults here. We can definitely deal with criticism. That's not a big deal. But I totally agree with Atriox on this one. They're young men, 23 years old. Some of these dudes ain't even young men. They still boys. They still trying to learn. They've been handed everything their life outside of the way that they've grinded and, you know, built their bodies and their skill set for the NFL. But at the same time, man, they're still very young. They're still, you know, growing into the man that they're going to be. You know, I always say like around 30 is when you really become a man for real. Shout out to the homie Tudo one time in the building, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Tudo is one of the biggest supporters of the Giants community. You know, this channel, man, we couldn't do it without Tudo. Tudo has supported us pretty much on every stream, man. So shout out to the homie Tudo, man. I hope all is well. Hope everything is going well with the rugby vibes and whatnot, man. Keep getting those W's, man. Keep setting that example for sure, 100%. But it seems like as far as this one, okay, I'll give you my final thoughts on this one. Like it's Jerry Springer. You remember when Jerry Springer used to have a final thought? That was pretty hilarious back in the day. But Xavier Mckinney is the reason you don't just throw the captain title around. I don't know about that. The captain title, first of all, comes from your play on the field. And then secondary comes from how you lead the other men in the locker room. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that you are not captain worthy or that you don't have the assets or the skill set to be able to be a captain on this team. And you can't forget how young this New York Giants team is, man. In all positions, you got guys in their mid to early 20s. So you got to find the guys who are the cream of the crop there and be able to, place them on the pedestal and give them that important C patch on their uniform. We don't got an Eli Manning on this team. We don't have a Michael Strahan on this team. So you gotta promote these young players and take the guys that are the young ones that you see leading these other young guys, and you got to give them that captain patch. But at the same time, doesn't mean that they can't make a mistake. I didn't wake up this morning and go, oh, God, man, Xavier McKinney, you're a terrible example for your team. I didn't think that. I just thought, this is kind of the perfect sound effect for it. It's like, dog, you just did a bonehead mistake. That's stupid. You're going to learn from that. You really going to learn from that. I can remember when I was about Xavier McKinney's age, I was heavy into imports and cars and racing and stuff like that. And I had an accident on the highway one time where we was balling. I mean, we was flying on the way back, going like 100 the whole way back from this spot called Route 50, where a lot of cars, it was damn near like Fast and Furious. Like you would see about 300 people meet up with all their cars souped up and whatnot. And then I can remember like the police ended up breaking it up and everybody split up their own ways and we all just sped back like idiots on the way back, about 4 or 5 of us racing. And on my way to get off the exit, I ended up trying to slow down and my car was super low to the ground. I hit one of those like bridge kind of like overpasses and it lifted the back of my car up. Like literally my car was doing an endo. I don't know if y'all know about an endo on a bicycle, but you could see the whole exhaust system on my car and all that from the cars behind me because my homies was trailing me, hit the bottom. As soon as the car slammed against the ground, blew out both left tires, ended up slamming into the wall. And thank God, me and my shorty was riding with me too. We was both okay. The accident felt so crazy in the car. I thought the car was going to be a total loss. I thought we were both going to be hurt. And end up getting out the car. Both of us pretty much walk away without a scratch, no broken bones, no nothing. But that was the last time that I ever was speeding in a car. Like literally, I stopped driving reckless, and I learned from that moment on. When you get in the car with me right now, like in today's day and age, when I'm driving, y'all be like, yo, Awthentik driving like somebody's grandma. I'm never in a rush, or somebody's G-ma, as my homie just said. But I'm never in a rush, bro. Like I'm always driving extremely slow. I try to allocate enough time to make it to places on time, 10 minutes early, and never have to be in a position where I'm speeding because I'm late or anything like that. I always try to do that. But it took that accident for me to learn that, to be able to do that. So this is just a learning experience for Xavier McKinney, that moving forward, you can't do these kind of things, especially during the season. That to me, that's the caveat right there. In season, you can't do this. You just cannot do this. Like off season, if this would have happened, it wouldn't even be news. But because it happens on the bye week for the New York Giants, it's going to make major waves and it's going to be major news. So, I'm praying for Xavier McKinney to have a speedy recovery. And this ain't a big deal. This really ain't a big deal. The worst part about this is that he's going to miss games. That's going to be the worst part about it, man. Michael Knight says, what kind of car was it? It was a 1993 Honda Civic EX coupe that I had souped up. I did a motor swap on it, had a JDM transmission in it. I put a B18 motor in it from an Acura GSR. And it was fast. It had some power, man. I shaved the door handle, shaved all the lines. It was fly. I'll post a picture on Twitter of it so y'all can see it. It was a pristine vehicle. I put way too much money into that car. I probably put like $15K, maybe $20K into a Honda Civic 1993. But it was my pride and joy at the time. My father's retirement money is how I ended up being able to buy the car, man. But we was going crazy, flying on the Beltway, man. But shout out to Fabian one time, man, in the building. Appreciate the $2 super chat, man. He says, Awthentik, you caused that backup on the Beltway. I definitely did. I did get over to the shoulder lane, and tried to avoid as much traffic, and it was at night, so at least it wasn't like, rush hour, nothing crazy like that. But thank God we was all good. We was all okay. But it was definitely a learning experience, man. Like, I got out of that. Like, I'm not even into imports and cars like that no more. I was into them extremely heavy back in the day. And that accident, that definitely was a good like a good experience for me to learn from and be like, and the accident wasn't even really my fault, man. I downshifted because one of my homies was still racing with me as we was approaching the exit. I downshifted, put the car in the second. I'd probably decreased my speed all the way down to about 50 miles per hour. And then I hit that overpass. And because I used to have a car on coilovers, and the way coilovers work, it's a suspension system where the car just sits on top of them. There is no cap on the strut, right? So it's like the spring is not compressed. The car just sits on the springs. So when I hit that overpass, the bump was about like a curb size. It literally just launched the back of the car up, man. But I handle business. My girl can vouch for me. I handle business, skid to a stop, slammed into the wall like 3 times, and we was okay. And that car did live to see another day, man. But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, man. And now as an adult, I can sit back and go, I see kids speeding on the highway or speeding on, a major road, and I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? But I get it. But you playing with your life when you do things like that. And even on an ATV, it don't seem like it. You're definitely playing with your life. There has been accidents on ATVs where people have crashed on ATVs and ended up losing their lives. So, yeah, you definitely got to be cautious. And shout out to Michael Knight. He said 93 is a good year. Dog, like the 93 Civics, so 92 to 95 body style, probably my favorite. And then all the way up to 1999, the like marquee SI version that they had, the blue, the electric, it looked like Giants blue kind of a little bit. It's a little bit lighter. But all the way up to that 99 version, I was a big fan of those Civics, man. And I used to like the CRX. That was another one of my favorite vehicles back in the day as well. It's crazy flying here right now. But that was another one of my favorite vehicles as well, man. And that 99 was just, I always wanted a 99 blue joint. So I took my 93 and I souped it up as if it was a 1999. Tried to make it look just like that. But shout out to Michael Knight, man, in the building one time, man. I didn't have no kit vibes going on in there, but I did have some little TV screens and a little PS2. I had a bunch of stuff in that car. I'm gonna definitely post that pic, so keep your eye out on Twitter so you can see what that vehicle looked like. It was definitely super fresh. I used to pull up, people would not even know I was driving a Civic. But that accident definitely taught me a major learning experience one time, man. Shout out to the homie Lou Mateo in the building too, pulling up a little bit late, man. Hope all is well with you over there on that side. But we're going to put a cap on this, man. Xavier Mckinney, yeah, we can give young guys the captain title, and they can have experiences where they make mistakes. That does not mean that they should not be a captain. So I totally think that this reaction on the screen is definitely an overreaction one time, man. Y'all know what it is. All right, y'all. So that's going to just about do it for this episode. Week 9 edition of the Giant Overreaction. Make sure to pull up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be breaking down both the NFC East games from this past weekend. Philadelphia Eagles ended up taking care of business on Thursday night against the Houston Texans. The Washington Commanders ended up taking a last-minute L to them Minnesota Vikings, man. I'm not too mad at that. I ain't gonna lie. Like, deep down in my gut, I always tell the beard, man, like, if y'all not playing us, I'm rooting for y'all. I hope y'all win. But sitting at 4-4, I was starting to get a little bit worried. And this L for the Washington Commanders, as a New York Giants fan, I'm not too mad about it, man. Not too, got to keep them a little bit at bay from us. I like this little gap we got. And the NFC East is so tight right now. But, we're definitely going to be going over those games at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we're going to be doing our preview show talking about Week 10. Can y'all believe it, man? We're already here at Week 10, man. This season is flying by, man. So shout out to all of y'all that have been rocking with us since day one of this season, since day one of last season, since day one of season 1 of Awthentik and the Beard way back in 2019 when we first drafted Daniel Jones, man. Y'all know we cannot do this without y'all. Salute to all of y'all. So that's going to put a cap on this one, man. Xavier Mckinney suffered the broken hand this week on the bye week for the New York Giants. He's got a broken hand. He's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks here. We'll see if Wink Martindale can step up, man, and take care of business. Next man up vibes, man. It's been a season for the New York Giants where, the world has been against us pretty much, man. Nobody expected us to do this. Even outside of the world, even within the fan base, I didn't expect that we could do this, man. But I appreciate all of y'all rocking with us on this Monday afternoon, man. 1 hour's worth of Awthentik here, one half of the best television show not on TV. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out if you was digging the vibes and you're not a part of the family yet, man. We'd appreciate that. Any support for this channel goes a long way, and that's probably one of the best ways you can support this channel. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Monday afternoon and your Monday evening. I'm going to take my camera, try to get outside, maybe take some flicks, test out this new flash, work on some mixes. And y'all know what it is over here, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Shout out to the podcast GOAT, RIP to Combat Jack. That's his saying. And big shout out to the homie Premium Pete one time, man. Y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of y'all Monday. We will see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Best wishes to Xavier McKinney. Get well, my brother. We, as the New York Giants community, we got your back, brother. Get well. I will see y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all be good. Peace.